Hey guys, it's Clovis, and we're going to talk about beasts today. Unfortunately, beasts, I would say, are one of the weaker archetypes. Personally, I think they're just not that good. A lot of these beast monsters are just kind of, random stat monsters that obviously you're going to be using for fusions, or you're not going to be using at all. You have some really average stat cards like Sleeping Lion, 700 attack for 4 stars. Griffor, 1200 attack for 4 stars, Dark Rabbit, 1100 attack for 4 stars, Prevent Rat, 500 attack for 4 stars. Like, you don't really have any good bulk for material, you kind of have to play your fusions. A good bulk material you do have is King Tiger Wang here, however, this card is actually really good, so I may as well go through this now. It's 1700 attack, 4 stars, already pretty good, especially in context of this game. That's, I think 1700 attack for 4 stars is pretty decent. And its effect is really, really cool. As long as King Tiger Wang is face up, it can move two spaces regardless of terrain. And that's actually a pretty big deal. Like, if you stick a bunch of equips on this, if you make this card really strong, it's a huge threat, and there's nothing they can really do to stop it moving 2 spaces, So, I rate this card very highly. If you guys are using a beast deck, you have to include 3 of these. And the card looks pretty cool as well, so, yeah. But like, a lot of your stronger cards, like your Firewing Pegasus, this is the highest attack beast in the game. Problem with this is, like, it's fire, so I mean, you can't use, like, other cards, even though they're earth and stuff, like, you can use Horn of Light on some of them. Like, Chimera the Flying Mystical Beast, you can use Horn of Light, it's also a fusion. Firewing Pegasus, well, it's amazing, and it looks beautiful. It's just not a fusion, it's not as good as, Garvus or Chimera. Garvus you can bring out with 1 star actually. You mix any beast with any winged beast. So, are there any 1 star? No, I think there's only 2 stars. Winged beast is the minimum. I could be wrong, but like, yeah, mixing say Drollbird with any beast, level 1 or 2 will give you Garvus for 2 stars, so that's really, really good. This is, one of your highest attack beasts, and you can make that fusion pretty quickly. Pretty cheaply, actually. Chimera is a bit more taxing. You need a 4-star Fiend and a 4-star Beast. Which is cool, because that means Gazelle, the King of Mythical Beasts, works with it, because that's one of the original fusion materials for it. It's like, I just have to use this card when I'm fusing that, because, I mean, you don't, but, it's just cool to fuse that up, And another thing you can do with that is even, like, add Baphomet in your deck, because that will make the fusion, but it'll also max out your summoning power when you flip it face up. So it's not a bad card to put in most decks, and in a beast deck you can actually kind of justify it, either you flip it face up to max your summoning power out, or do a fusion, or you can even do both. You can flip it up and then play a card on top of it next turn to fuse it, and then you still have like max summoning power after that, which is pretty cool. What other fusions do we have? Quickly, yeah, Super War Lion. I usually forget the rituals and like add them in at the end. You get the Super War Lion ritual from Bakura, and you have to fuse you have to sacrifice a Leo Gun with 2 beasts. And you can get Leo Gun off of him as well. You can also get Leo Gun off Tristan. This is basically a 7-star, like, boss monster for beasts. It is the strongest beast monster in the game. 50 attack above Firewing Pegasus, but this you can't play out of the hand, so... it's a cool looking card. It has the same effect as King Tiger Wang Hu. You move 2 spaces at a time regardless of terrain. That's why I really like this card, but unfortunately, as I say every single time, guys, the rituals suck and they're just not worth the 4 turns you need to play them. So, if you can cheat and put this card in your deck, obviously you're going to use 3 anyways, because it's cool and it's the highest attack, but yeah, ritual summoning this is not really recommended in my opinion, unless you want that card in your, like, library. Tatsuno Toshiga is actually also a fusion. I think it's, you fuse a beast with a fish, and if it doesn't meet a certain threshold, it makes this. I think if it's above the attack of Tatsuno Toshiga, sorry, this name's weird to pronounce, then you make, Marine Beast, I believe, which is actually a fish. So if you wanna, if you want your maxed out leader abilities, which I should probably go through in a second, you definitely want a level 5 or above deck leader, because you do have increased strength for same type friendlies. Your other abilities don't really scale. Like, we can specifically enemy type. I don't even know what monster that is for, if I have to be honest with you. It's probably, something, I don't know, like plants or something stupid. because, you know, they're beasts, but I mean, you don't even have extended support range, so it's only really going to affect whoever's attacking you directly, and, you know, you're only going to be boosting up whoever's next to you, so it's totally up to you what beast deck leader you want. I mean, I would argue, you know, you don't even really need any of these leader abilities. Movement boost for same type friendlies is cool, but without extended support range, it's not very good. It just means you can flip stuff up out of your hand if it's a beast and attack, and move 2 spaces with it. But then, you know, if it's not King Tiger Wanker and there's no forest, it stops moving there anyways. You can't keep up with the card you move away twice because you're slow. So that's a problem. These deck leader abilities just suck. That's why I kind of didn't go on about them earlier, because I usually love them and I love talking about them, and that's like my favourite part of all the archetypes. But in this case, they just suck. I think they really botched them, in my opinion. They just made them completely unrelated to each other, and they just suck. Flower Wolf, by the way, that's another option. This is good because you can definitely make this with 1 star. Mix Millis Radiant with any 1-star plant. You can actually fuse any plant, of course, but just, you know, if you play the 1 star, then of course you only play 1 star out of the hand. You create this level 5 beast, which is really, really cool. Flower Wolf is not a bad fusion. You'll probably be making this a lot. I do recommend sticking stuff like Griggle or maybe even Dark Plant if you want the effect in your deck. And you can make like Flower Wolf. There's quite a few fusions. I mean, Tassador Toshiga, Flower Wolf, Garvus, and Chimera. So these are your 4 options for your deck leader, I guess, if you want the maxed out leader abilities. You're looking elsewhere. I think there's like a few good effect monsters, and that's pretty much it. Mystical Sheep number 2. When this card is flip face up, it spellbinds the opposing monster. I think the point of these is, you know, it's better to have them, as I said before, like, if you're gonna have 3-star beasts in your deck as feature material, you may as well include the ones that have effects in case you just draw them and nothing else and you have to play it. It's just, you know, better than having, say, Burglar, for example, which is essentially the same card without an effect, similar attack and everything. Nekagao number 1 is very, very good though, because it's also female, so if you fuse that with any other beast, you make Nekagao, which is a, Nekagao number 2, which is a beast warrior, but, you know, with beast warriors you can still use female equips, you can still use, Mystical Moon, which will go through the equips in a second, etc. So, you know, it's always nice to have that. But again, if you want to do that, you can even include 1-star females if you really want to make the Nekagao card. But again, if you're doing that, you probably want to have like a Beast Warrior deck rather than a Beast one, in my opinion. Really interesting looking cards. Oh yeah, Lavas. So Lavas flips up all Mon Lavas cards. If you fuse Lavas with a Beast, it makes Mon Lavas actually. So you can make like infinite one of these and have like a Lava strategy, which is always nice. Dark Grey is like a mini Ancient One of the Deep Forest. He has the same model except he's blue. I don't know why I felt like pointing that out, I just did. Silver Fang, one of Yugi's monsters that always gets owned whenever it gets played because it sucks. Wolf is essentially the same card. It's literally like the only difference is one is a number after it and they have a different name. Power card wise, stats, they're exactly the same. These cards are actually good like for playing the what's it called? The Cerberus, Flame Cerberus. If you fuse these with a Pyro, you make Flame Cerberus, which is cool because, you know, that fits. It's like a wolf, and, you know, whatever. Cerberus, 3-headed wolf, dog, whatever. You get the idea. Torike looks like a mini feral imp, what I always thought. I actually vividly remember this card. When I first like dueled Yugi, he played this, and I thought he was going to play like some super strong monster as his first card, but he played this and I did like 3,000 damage to him or something stupid like that. Not literally 3,000, but it was like ridiculous. I did more than half of his damage, and I was like 8 years old when I was playing the game. Like, this was the first few months it came out, and I was just so like, I found it so hysterical that he played Torike and just sent it towards me because it's just 1200 attack. I thought that was hilarious. Alright, so here's some cool effect monsters now, guys. Wicked Worm Beast. When this is destroyed in battle, it's returned to the deck. It says the deck is reshuffled, but I heavily doubt that. I think that's just total bullshit. There's like no mechanics in the game that actually reshuffle the deck or anything, but this isn't bad, you know. Actually, 3 summoning level for 1400 attack. I don't find anything wrong with this card at all, and I think the picture's actually pretty cool, if I have to be honest with you. It's unique as fuck, so good on you, Wicked Worm Beast. I really, really like this card, actually. I don't give it enough credit, but looking at it, it's pretty good. Gate Dig, this is like the best beast card, arguably. One of the better cards in the game, like better effect monsters. It's 3 stars, right, and that's very important in context to its ability. So when you flip Gate Dig up, it maxes out your summoning power. So if you flip this up, then the next turn, provided your enemy hasn't played Magic Drain or anything, you could play any card out of your hand because your max will be, like your summoning power will be maxed out. So theoretically, if you have like a Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon in your hand, you can flip Gate Dig up, and then the next turn you can play the Blue Eyes out of the hand. You have 12 summoning power. That's what this card's for, and it's insane because, you know, the max is 12, which makes sense because you can get up to 12. But if you play, say, a 7-star card after you have 12, you bump down to 5, and the next turn you regenerate 3 and you have 8. So if you flip Gate Dig up, you can actually get some really, really powerful summons in, you know. If you have like 6 stars or under, you can play like 3 6 stars within the next 3 turns after you activate this card. So yeah, this is very, very important. I would stick this in lots of decks that aren't just beast decks, you know. So if you're running a beast deck, you may as well include these. It synergizes with all your fusions, and the effect is great in general. It's a good way, you know, if you flip this up, you don't have to feel as bad for playing like Firewing Pegasus and even like Super Warline out of the hand. And this card, everyone calls it Hane, but I'm pretty sure it's Hane, like, you know, the Japanese style. This card is just, this is like one of the most nostalgic cards ever, you know. Just everyone who sees this, I think everyone who watched, played Yu-Gi-Oh! At least early on, definitely will remember this card as like, you know, everyone remembers that Dark Magicians and the Blue Eyes White Dragons. This is one of those cards that people forget about, but when they see it, they remember it straight away. It's a very interesting card. If this card's flipped face up, it returns to your own deck and reshuffle the deck. I don't know any particular strategies that are interesting with that, but, you know, it's still a, I don't know, 2-star good fusion material, I guess. Interesting card. It's always nice to talk about these quirky cards like, yeah, Hane and the Wicked Worm Beast. Yeah, Toko is always funny because he's got that giant eye, he's like a Cyclops. Beast Marmo of Nefariousness is just one of those low attack cards that can attack without triggering an opponent's trap. A few archetypes have these and they're usually very low attack. And Melissa Radiant is the last one I'll talk about because this effect is actually pretty interesting. So, for me, the interesting thing about this card isn't really its effect in particular. I think the value actually comes from it being a 1-star beast, so you can use this card to play your 1-star fusions. Without this, you know, all your fusions will be 2 stars minimum. But this effect actually turns the enemy card, it destroys the enemy cards if it's a zombie. So yeah, you can use this against like Necromancer or something and just completely own him with it. It's also compatible with Horn of Light, so there you go. That's a card you probably want to be using, which, you know, I'll go through the equips now. I always like to talk about the support cards. So, Mystical Moon powers up Beast and Beast Warrior. So, this I actually would prioritize over Beast Fangs because, you know, that way you can include Beast Warriors. It means you can stick females in your deck, fuse them with a beast to make Neca Gal. If you're doing that, you probably want to include stuff like Invigoration. I don't think Horn of Light works, yeah, because, you know, I'm pretty sure Neca Gal number 2 doesn't have horns, so definitely include these first, and then wherever Beast Fangs, here we go, Beast Fangs only work on Beast, so you have to be careful with this card. If you're making a deck that uses like Beast Warriors as well, you can only stick this to Beast. One way you can get around that, I actually think that if you're playing lots of different types, a more versatile card is Horn of Light actually, depending on what monsters you put in your deck. Obviously check the equips you can put on your monsters, but Horn of Light you can put on like Gazelle, you can also put on the Chimera, the Flying Mythical Beast, stuff like that. So it's actually not bad, you know, 500 attack. Again, I always say, you know, around a 7 power-ups is the best, so having like 3 Beast Fangs, 3 Mystical Moons, and 1 Horn of Light I think is a pretty good ratio. The cool thing about having like the power-up that you have on one of your stronger monsters, like the Chimera, is that when you chew up all your power-ups, like if you're playing your 3 and 4-star cards and your fusions, they tend to chew up all your other power-ups very quickly. So if you draw them all out first and then you draw your Chimera, you may have already used your power-ups. But if you have the Horn of Light, that's only really, you can only really use it on certain monsters. So if you ever draw that, you can like reserve that for one of your stronger monsters, even if it does the same damage. It's just, you know, an option you have. If you're using all those 7 cards. I will quickly mention Malevolent Nuzzler, Cyber Shield, and Electro Whip if you're running like a female deck. That way you can stick it on Neca Gal and stuff like that. But that's totally up to you. I will just point out again, guys, Invigoration, if all your stuff's Earth, is a very good idea. But at that rate, you may as well just use Megamorph because it's the same deck cost and it gives 300. And in that case, you can use it on Neca Gal number 2 as well. I keep mentioning it, but it's actually a pretty reasonable fusion, you know. Neca Gal number 2, 1900 attack for 1 star. It's pretty damn good, and it's a lot easier to bring out than a lot of the other fusions, so yeah. Last thing I have to bring up is the terrain card, I guess. Of course, beasts are strong on forest. I don't know how else to... like, there's nothing else I can really bring up about beasts, I don't think, so I'll probably have to stop the video there by mentioning that forest is their strong terrain. Most of you guys probably already know that, because, you know, beasts like to live in the forest, right? That's where animals belong. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know beasts weren't, like, the most interesting thing ever, but some of the archetypes just aren't, you know, and those ones are the ones that, you know, sometimes they get the shorter video. It doesn't mean I don't like them, like, you know, the Beast Warriors, I love them, but they were a short video because there was just not much to talk about. Beasts are the same, except I don't like them as much because their leader abilities are dog shit. So, now you guys know what I think about the leader abilities and, well, the archetype of beasts, and I'll see you guys in the next video.